News just coming in. Khalistan supporters stoop to a new low in Australia. Khalistan supporters are now using young children to protest outside the Indian mission. Khalistan supporters are poisoning young minds. They're taking children to political protests. And we'll show you those videos. Look at that video on your television screen. Use of child protesters in Melbourne. And this video has now gone viral. Now, very desperate tactics being adopted by the Khalistan supporters, roping in young children, teenagers for these protests. We can't even make you listen to what some of these brainwashed children are saying, and one really wonders if this is how the brainwashing of little children is being done. Some of these children are really young. Imagine what kind of elements will these children grow up to be. The Khalistanis very clearly appear to be very desperate. Remember, even if you talk about specifically about Australia, it began with the targeting of Hindu temples, including the ISKCON temple. That was targeted in Australia. India, of course, has officially raised this with the government in Australia, urging the government to stop activities of these pro-Khalistan elements, because it's also resulted in violence very recently in the past. India has opposed the violence perpetrated by these Khalistan supporters, insisting, one, that their action does not reflect the tenets of Sikhi, and two, the activities of these pro-Khalistan elements is actually bringing Sikhi, or Sikhism as some people put it, it's bringing Sikhi into disrepute. The activities of Khalistan supporters from Canada to the United States, from United Kingdom to Australia, it's been a cause for concern, and let's try and make sense of some of these developments. Let's listen in, let's try and listen in to what some of these radicalized little children are saying. Let's listen in. Imagine these Khalistanis, as some argue, are taking support from Pakistan, and they're taking support of some radical Islamists, and if they're invoking Guru Gobind Singh Ji, whether it's Guru Arjan Dev Ji, whether it's Guru Tegh Bahadur, or the 9th Sikh Guru, or the 10th Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, they made the supreme sacrifice of their lives fighting radical Islamists, and these people are taking their support. Shiv Arur and Abhishek Bhalla join me for more on the story. Abhishek, these Khalistanis appear to be very, very desperate now, using children at these protests.
This is a new low, perhaps, that these Khalistani protests are reaching, that even little children in their teens, or perhaps even younger than that, are being brought to these protest sites where they are chanting anti-India slogans, which are pro-Khalistan. And the bigger question that rises here is, who is behind all of this? Who is orchestrating these protests? Where is the funding coming from? And a pertinent question that needs to be asked is that many of these people, be it in Australia, be it in UK, US or Canada, are actually not citizens of India. They're citizens of these countries, been living there for many years. These young kids, especially that are being used, are definitely born in these countries. So what is the motivation behind them coming to such protests? And there needs to be a clampdown from the Indian government as well.
That's a very interesting question you raise, Abhishek, and let me take that to Shiv Arur. Shiv, you've been tracking this very closely, and this appears to be a very well-coordinated conspiracy from Canada to San Francisco in the United States of America, from London in the UK to Melbourne in Australia. It's almost as if some anti-India forces are paying the piper and dictating the tune.
Well, Gaurav, I can't say I'm surprised by the images coming in from Australia of, children being used by these Khalistani thugs in their protests. There were images earlier from another protest in some other country where they had a baby in a pram holding, the baby was made to hold a placard. So, I don't think anyone should put anything past these thugs. They don't have any ideology. They're there for the take. They're all being paid a little bit of money to pick up those flags and indulge in all kinds of violence. It's a tiny percentage of a large and proud community that is unfortunately being tarred as a result of the actions of a few delinquent elements in countries like Australia, the United Kingdom, Canada, and sadly also in the United States. Now, it most certainly seems like there's a larger conspiracy, because it's very difficult for something like this to be spontaneous. It's obviously organized. Clearly, the Khalistan file has suddenly received a lot of funding from Pakistan, despite what's happening in Pakistan and the mess that country is in. Clearly, they found the resources to spend some money to try and revive some energy on Khalistan. And I must say, in some ways, because of the media attention paid to the specific acts of vandalism, the attack on the Indian embassy in London, and attacks in other countries, it has grabbed a little bit of attention. Okay. But let's make no mistake, these are a bunch of thugs. Most of them are going to very soon face action because their OCI cards or their properties in India will face action. I'm hearing from the Home Ministry and other government sources that many of these people are going to have their tails between their legs very soon, because once the trouble hits home, it's all very well to pick up a flag, take kids, and go and protest in front of an embassy in a country that protects your freedom of speech and expression and right to protest, despite that country's relations with India.
You're absolutely right. Let's see what action actually follows this. But for joining me, Abhishek and Shiv, many thanks.